As someone who's had the pleasure of reading both Grace's nonfiction and fiction, I can say that I'm always impressed by her technical skill. Grace has a really excellent grasp of technique, and she's always working on it, so it's pleasurable to see her work develop. But something I've been thinking lately about Grace's work, especially this recent nonfiction, which you'll hear tonight, is how rhetorical it is. As I think back to the earlier work of Grace's that I've read, I can see this aspect in it too, full of technical virtuosity and with some rhetorical aim. Rhetorical work is persuasive work, works that tries to convince you of something. But Grace's work isn't heavy-handed in this way, partly because of all her technical skill, which distracts and lulls and lures the reader, but also because Grace's rhetorical aims are broad. Her writing isn't didactic because the place she works to lead us to is often hazy, amorphous, more confusing than any single answer, a landscape crowded with possibilities. What I'm trying to say is that Grace is after meaning, that she wants us to find meaning by participating in a process of meaning making, and she tells us stories to get us there. You'll listen to where she leads you in this piece that she's about to read, and wherever you find yourself, I hope you'll appreciate the care and skill it took to get you to go. Please join me in welcoming Grace Hatton.
So for my portfolio, I worked on the beginning of a memoir dealing with my relationship with faith and God, starting from when I was a child in Northern England and growing up as a pastor's kid to now at Warren Wilson. But this piece is from the early years, so it's when I was in England, apart from in France, but it all makes sense. And it's called The First Save. I am eating snails in a red vinyl booth in a restaurant with my family in the French countryside. In the years to come, this will be all I remember from this trip prior to the accident. That and sunshine and fishing nets and the babble of the French language and campfires and falling asleep snuggled between my siblings in the back of our tiny white car. Sometime after eating snails, we find ourselves driving through the darkness of French backwoods. I'm still small enough to need a booster seat, and I sit in the center of the back seat. My elder sister Naomi, with her brunette locks tucked behind a headband, sits on the left side of me, and my elder brother Nathan, proudly wearing a football jersey, sits to the far right. My parents argue about directions in the front. French drivers zoom in and out, blasting their horns at us. We brought our little white car across the English Channel on a ferry, and so in turn everything about it is wrong on French soil. The license plate is the wrong color, the wheel is on the wrong side, and we aren't fast enough. The darkness keeps going and going until I see them. Big and bulbous white lights coming closer and closer to me. Closer and closer we go. The lights are high and blinding. They slice through the car, making my brother's green eyes seem more like gold and causing the fake rhinestones in my sister's headband to glisten. Closer. I don't know what they are, only that they hurt my eyes. And then the lights slam into the side of the car, causing us to rip forward. Big lights disappear into the darkness of the car. We swirl, screeching and howling as we go, squeals in the dark, round and round, caught in a tailspin until the swirling crashes to a halt. We lurch forward. My face slams into something and my nose crunches back into my small skull. I hang forward, the seatbelt holding me. Mum pants and begins to cast out gods into the air. I can't see my brother or my father. The metal of the car is wrong, squished into a mutant of its former self. We are all leaning forward. The nose of the car rests in a ditch. Mum frees herself from the front seat and yanks our door open. She unclips me and I free fall into her arms. She drags me out and puts me on the grass next to the crumpled heap of a vehicle. Trees stand on the right and the road is to the left. The lights, which belong to a truck, sit on the edge of the road. Everything throbs. The grass is wet and seeps through my skirt. Mum arrives with my sister in her arms. Naomi is weeping, long, haggard sobs that make her face turn purple while it contorts and squishes up. She's shaking. I scramble towards her and lean on her shoulder. She shakes more. I follow her eyes to her hands, and they're covered with blood. Mum checks her, touches every part of Naomi's body to find the leak, her nursing training kicking into full gear, but she can't find one. My skull is creaking, aching with the manipulation of bones that has occurred. Mum looks at me and says something I can't understand. She tilts my head up and I yelp at the motion. I feel wetness on my face. And when Mum takes her hands away, she has red on them, pulls a bit. I lean towards Naomi again and see the glossy red blood drip onto her hands. It's my blood, gushing from my nose, a cracked and distorted bone. Mom instructs Naomi to keep my head tilted up to try and stop the bleeding. Naomi can't stop shaking. Mom goes back to the metal heap that looks like a giant scrunched up ball of paper. Mom is searching for Dad and Nathan. They're lost in the metal. Sirens blare in the distance. A man with silver hair that glows in the dark is rushing towards us from the truck. Tilt your head up, Naomi instructs, and I look back at the sky. A million twinkling lights return the gaze. Blood flows, steady and thick. A moment later, Nathan collapses onto the grassy bank. Bruises, big and yellow, cover his body. Dad's stuck, he pants. And in the ditch, Daddy's body is scrunched and mashed by the metal of the crumpled car, slowly crushing him to death. Mom is not strong or big enough to get him out. Sirens are closer now, and I hear the babble of French. I bring my head down and look around. I see a body on the opposite bank, still in white, black hair and long arms. It's Dad. Mom is still by the car. The ambulances arrive and pull us into the white sterility of an emergency vehicle. They put me with my father, while my mum, brother, and sister are ushered into another ambulance. Dad has crushed bones, bruises, and is unconscious, but he's alive. In the years to come, Mum will tell us how if he had stayed in the heap of metal any longer, he might have been impaled or crushed to death. She'll tell us how she tried to get him out but wasn't strong enough. She'll tell us how an angel saved him, took him from the wreck and placed him on the bank like a postman delivering a package. And with no other earthly explanation for how my dad moved from a mangled car wreck to a grassy bank, I'll believe her. Thank you.